Just a bit of background on myself before we get into the meat of this webinar today. So myself, I've been in IT now for over 30 years. As much as that scares me to think that way, yeah, it's been now over 30 years in a professional situation. It's been longer than that if I look back at it from my amateur days of starting programming on Sinclair's ZX81s and Spectrums back in the 80s. But I'm based in the UK, near the beautiful city of Bath. And now, as Umesh has stated, I work at Torry Harris as the head of architecture, strategy and transformation. So my role there is to advise our clients, our customers and our future prospects on how they should look at their architecture, providing advice and capabilities from inside Torry Harris, how they build and deliver on a strategic roadmap, and from there, how that transformation from the existing world of the company they are today into the world of the strategy of the future world, transforming the company from an IT perspective and helping them on a business change perspective. So those are the key aspects of my role. As myself, I'm passionate about technology. I love the ability technology has to deliver changes to our organizations, to our lifestyle, how we interact with the world around us. And yeah, I love enabling that for all the companies we work with here at Torry Harris. I feel very privileged to work with some of the major companies on this planet and see how they are moving forwards to the future to drive changes that we and our day-to-day lives work with to move forwards and to work with products, build products, have solutions in our houses, talk to each other. It's a passion of mine to work in that area. And again, if I sort of reflect back on my career, when I started professionally, I was working on a mainframe, and those mainframes were remote from where my actual office was. And then we moved into the world of having data centers within the buildings we worked in. We had the duplicates of data centers to provide disaster recovery. The costs of running on-site solutions is extremely high. As a business, you might not be an IT company. You might be a retail organization. You might be a telecommunications company. You might be a manufacturing company. So IT, while you use it, isn't the backbone of your business. So why would you want to have IT as a cost to run data centers? So moving to a model of using cloud technology, cloud capabilities, such as Amazon and Google and Microsoft, is a great way to offload that complexity. Don't run a data center and bring the power needs and the air conditioning needs, the cabling needs into your environment. Utilize people who are specialists in that area so that way you as a retailer or you as a manufacturer can focus on what you do best, which is to deliver those products to your customers rather than worrying about the complexity of running an IT estate. The other aspect around that is, how do you stay up to date with the modern, the technology world is changing. We have cloud computing moving into data lakes, data warehouses, generative AI, machine learning. Again, as an organization, if you're a farm in an agri-tech or if you're a meditech, those capabilities are not naturally within your organization. So you are not going to stay up to date with those internally. You bring that capability, you bring that trust, that knowledge of solutions from these external partners. And it allows you then to right size the capabilities you need in your technology organization. You can be a small technology organization utilizing a vast, complex capability provided some of the biggest suppliers in the world. So for most companies, not all companies, some companies need their own data capabilities on site. Some companies are moving away from that world. But for most companies at this point in time, the move to utilize cloud solutions, to utilize the capabilities those cloud environments give you and to offload that complexity to people who know how to run it better is a way to move forward. Building on that previous one of, when I was talking about the fact that we leave these companies do what they do best. So the Amazons and the Googles and Microsofts, the Oracles of the world run the data centers and you focus on your capabilities. If you want compliance, if you want data governance, If you're a UK-based company or a European company, you may know about how to apply that governance and that regulation within your market, and you can apply that to your own computer capabilities. But let's say you move out into Asia, you move out into Africa, you move out into the Americas. Those rules, those regulations and data governance rules will change. Again, as an organization, you don't need or should not want to know and to comply and to implement all of those rules yourself. If you go to a cloud partner, if you go to cloud technology, the big cloud capabilities in the world have made themselves compliant with the regulations of the regions of the world you might want to operate in. So you might have PII, personal identifiable information rules. You might have HIPAA rules in America, GDPR rules in the European Union and around the world. I'm sure there are specific rules in Asia, China, Latin America, which have to apply. If you go to the right partner, those rules, that compliance, that regulatory ability is already provided out of the box in those areas. So again, very similar to the previous answer, you're offloading that organizational capability to a more specialized area. You look after it. It's your responsibility at the end of the day as the organization who's working in those companies, but the complexity of running it goes off to the third party. Again, I can look back at my career. There's so many times, I'm an architect now, I run an architecture team, a strategy team, but in my previous life, I was a programmer. And I wanted to try the latest technologies. I wanted to do concepts for companies I was working with. And I had to buy software, I had to get it shipped to me, I had to install it. I might have to buy a server to install that software on to run it. I had to get all of the connectivity, the memory, the storage to run that product. So with the cloud, that capability to adapt to change, to utilize software, to utilize capability very, very quickly in a test manner at a very low cost is very, very open and able in the market to do. We have that capability delivered to us. I can log on to the Azure cloud now, and I can do and create a large language model. I could log on to the Amazon cloud and create myself a data lake and load data into it. I could log on to Google and utilize the power of their data analytics solutions to analyze data in their BigQuery and Looker environments. So I think that's where we go in with the cloud. It's the ability to be able to innovate. When we look at companies such as Uber and Just Eat, Netflix, all of those companies of the world, they've grown as cloud native organizations. And the ability that they had was to try new ideas, to build from the ground up without building that data center, without paying for the huge licensing costs, without bringing in servers and waiting long lead times. I think we don't want to have to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds to test a conceptual idea. We want to be able to test that idea very quickly. If it works, brilliantly, we can scale it up, roll it out, productionize it. But if it doesn't work, we can crash it down, burn it off, and then take that short-term pain that we've of something, an idea, and then move on to our next idea very, very quickly. So we do it internally to Torry Harris. We utilize those capabilities ourselves to test ideas, to test concepts, to build solutions that we can then deliver off to our customers. We don't want to have to pay hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of servers to run for a conceptual idea, just as any other business doesn't want to do that. So I think the ability from the cloud and the fact that the cloud is constantly evolving with new technologies gives us all that ability to evolve and try new ideas as well. Unfortunately, I've only 2 hours ago arrived back from Amsterdam. I was over in a conference in Amsterdam over the last 2 days. And one of the things we see there is this conference was specifically around communication service providers around the world. So we had China, we had Singapore, we had America, we had Europe, all present in this conference talking about how communication service providers can enable the world of technology. And we delved into, in a number of sessions, the innovations and the way the world moved forwards. And one of the things we see, in what we would class as a traditional telco, we are now trying to rename ourselves as technos, because we are providing the backbone of communications capability, be that fiber or mobile 5G type capabilities, with inside the world, or so in the world, and with inside factories and with inside cities to enable companies to use technology. So we think of ourselves now as technology enablers rather than the traditional telco world. But we also see that moving in other companies as well. You know, the banking, financial services areas, they've now become fintechs. We see agriculture and farming become agri-tech. We see healthcare becoming meditech. All of these companies now, all of these sectors and industries are suffixing their words or their names with tech, because while they're financial service providers, they are basing that on technology. While they're agricultural providers, they're basing that on technology. You know, in the agricultural world now, we see that they're using satellites, which are orbiting the planet to look at crops and weather and how to better get capabilities of growing different crops within inside the farms and the agricultural community based on a technology background. They're using machine learning to say what crops work better. They're using knowledge to think about what and how to develop crops. The meditech industry are looking forwards into how they bring forwards capabilities to further solve illnesses by using the vast compute power that's available. And the other area I take inspiration from is my children. You know, I have a 17-year-old and 18-year-old daughters. And what I'd like to see with them is how they are utilizing technology, how they believe that technology, how they want to use their phones, their iPads, their computers. It's digitally first, they're digitally native generation. They expect all of these solutions, all of the things they do to be enabled by digital. And from the communication services providers, you know, we are needing to provide ubiquitous connectivity. We're looking to provide 5G and Wi-Fi and, you know, moving forward into 6G in the future around the world. And all of this is taking us into a new world that we're working in, that we have through our phones. We have power in our phones, which is now, I think the last figure was something like 1,000 times more powerful than the power of the computers on the Apollo 11 landing ships. You know, 1,000 times more powerful in our phones now. But we can even further enable that by having the power of the cloud. We use the phone through connectivity to connect to the cloud. So from my phone now, I can do DNA analysis because I'm using a huge compute capability in the cloud. You know, I look, you know, myself, I'm a cancer survivor. I look at mRNA capabilities where, you know, Meditech now is looking at creating personalized cancer treatments, looking at the type of cancer that I and many other people have, doing genetic analysis of that cancer, and then coming up with a very specific program of DNA or RNA treatment that I can take to cure my cancer. So those sort of areas, you know, that innovation capability there is phenomenal, and that is being made available by huge compute capabilities that are within the cloud. Yeah, another area I'd like to explore is digital twins. In the world, you know, of manufacturing, the world of creating new cities around the world, we are now able to model that inside the computing area of the cloud. We can build a model of a factory, because to build a factory in real life is expensive. To physically construct that, to know then that you've got the shape of it wrong, the floor plan wrong, where your physical infrastructure is going to go in that factory. You don't want to get that wrong. You want to get that right the first time. You want to know where to create the production lines. You want to test that out. You want to test that out before you do the physical build. And the best way to do that is to create a digital twin. And you know, that doing a factory is a big thing. But if you scale that up to look at a city and how you could then model a city within the cloud, how you could look at how by creating a solar infrastructure or putting gas mains and water mains, you can look at that in a digital environment by having the huge power of a cloud computing capability to fully model that. These are hugely complex things, you know, way beyond the way I can think at this point in time. But we are building up this capability now through having capabilities in the cloud. And you know, if you build on top of that things like generative AI, that you could build a digital twin, and then from there you could question it in conversational AI to actually say, if I was to change this building, or if I was to change this road, what would be the impact? And that for that conversation AI to be able to respond to you in natural language, we are moving on to the next level there of abilities to interact with computers and to build the physical infrastructure of the future. And another area I stop answering on this question is I'm a computer gamer. I love gaming, and to stay up with the latest games, it normally means I have to have a modern processor, a modern graphics card. But now, again, looking at the cloud, I don't have to have that power here in my house because I'm paying for that power, that graphics card and that CPU for maybe 2 or 3% of my day where I might be able to play a game. So it's cost me a lot of money to have that there. But now I can utilize the NVIDIA cloud where they have NVIDIA compute capability, and I can have a very, very powerful graphics card, I can have a very powerful CPU residing in the cloud. I don't have to pay for it all of the time. I'm just going to pay for it when I'm using it. I can pay for it on a recurring $15 a month subscription fee, and I have access to the latest graphics cards, the latest games, all from the cloud. Yeah, I have to have communication. I have to have my broadband, my fiber, my Wi-Fi to do that, but I can then have, again, my mobile phone or my iPad or my laptop, which doesn't have that graphics card, it doesn't have that CPU capability, but I'm utilizing what is existing in the cloud. And I think we're seeing more companies now go into that aspect, in the gaming world, which I say is something I follow, where they're creating the game you play on the compute that you have is minimal, and they are offloading the complex compute into the cloud for doing physical modeling of, if you're playing a flight simulator, it's doing the physical modeling of the aerodynamical aspect in the cloud rather than that being on your local compute. So I think you mentioned, I've probably talked a lot of different subjects there in the different areas, but hopefully that gives you some aspects of my views as to where the cloud and where innovation is coming from going forwards. So yeah, in the previous chapter, that I talked about in the previous section, we were talking about the way companies are moving to become tech companies. Every area is putting tech after their industry segment because they want to move forward. They want to utilize this capability. So if you want to have the power of the cloud, if you want to utilize and become a tech company, be that meditech, agri-tech, fintech, you have to then offload that tech capability to other areas. And looking at how you can utilize cloud, you can create your own center of excellence, but utilize the Amazons, the Microsofts, the Googles, the Oracles, the Salesforces. You're looking at software as a solution, platform as a solution, infrastructure as a solution. You can go to different levels of utilizing what you need to focus on your industry, what you do best, what you need, and how you can work in the world, but offloading the different aspects based on the level of complexity you want to delve into utilizing these providers. I think, again, been at the conference this week. I was talking to many clients that we've worked with, and I in many ways, I have a very privileged role here that I work with many industries. One day I'll be talking to the health industry, next day it'll be the communication industry, and then the financial services industry. I have that privilege of working with many industries, and I see some great innovations and great leaders within these companies driving changes forward based on technology. And I've got the pleasure of going out and utilizing the Torry Harris company, the huge brains that sit behind the scenes inside our development studios, inside our strategy areas, and inside our architecture teams, who come to bring the power of their knowledge to help me speak with these leaders of main companies around the world, to give the advice, to give information on the cloud, give information on conversational AI, give information on data lakes and integration, because that is what we bring to the party. We bring that knowledge, that experience of working across many industries, and that cross-pollination is important. We may have come up with something that we do within working with our telco clients, which then can benefit a fintech, or can benefit an agri-tech or a manufacturing organization. because we've done something with a telco, which is around bringing 5G as a private network to a building. And when we go then to our partners with inside a manufacturing company, we say this is how then you deliver an IoT infrastructure with a 5G private network with inside your manufacturing environment, so you can run your robotic processing line. We bring together a lot of different things. We are currently working with a number of clients to help them move to the cloud. We are taking their on-site compute capabilities and helping move that to the cloud, be that just a lift and shift model, helping them refactor, or actually rebuilding from scratch. We give them advice as to some of the providers. We respond to their RFPs. We may assist them in defining the strategy, looking at whether they should do a lift and shift, whether they should go to software as a service. So there's lots of options we work with there. We're looking at marketplaces. Another area we see a lot of development now is the expansion of companies, of how they may deliver one product. They have complementary products with other industries. So they're looking to marketplace their services. So they will come as a product supplier to say, we are delivering this IoT device, but then they will partner with a communication services provider to provide the Wi-Fi or the 5G service, which enables that IT device, that IoT device. We look into the meditech world, and we see there how they are building new complex areas to support health. And health then is enabled by having vast quantities of data to look at the analysis of their patients, their past histories, and how they would have treated different people for the same illnesses. So we bring that power of data to our customers. And I think no conversation at the moment would go without talking about conversational AI. We're working with a number of different companies around the world at this point in time about actually enabling them through the power of AI. We look at them from the aspects of enabling their contact centers with conversational AI, so that their agents, when they're dealing with customers, can bring to life a richer conversation to help them resolve customers' queries very quickly. Because a number of organizations now, they have vast ranges of products, and the agents who are dealing with the customers on the phone have a great difficulty now in keeping up to date with that vast range of products. So to bring to life conversational AI into that environment, to allow the agent to query a large language model, to query a foundational model on the products, or a large language model which has been sort of trained on those products, to allow the answers to the questions to be given at the first time, is important to a lot of our customers at this point in time. So they need to reduce the average handling time. They need to improve their first call resolution. So we see a lot of capabilities come in there in the assist mode of conversational AI into the service and sales area. The other area we see AI come in is AI operations. At Torry Harris, we deliver solutions, but we can also run solutions for our customers. So we'll build it and then we'll operate it. And one of the areas we look at there is around AI operations, of how we do self-healing, about how we look at when there is a failure. Let's be realistic, the best solutions in the world do fail, but how we can then use AI to analyze those failures, to give the responses, to give the self-healing capabilities, and to allow us to give a much richer service and a much more efficient service to the customers we work for. So I think that's some of the areas I'd like to cover in around the AI. And I think before I close on this is, if I reflect back at the beginning of this talk, I love working with our customers. I love the ideas, the concepts, how every day is changing. How I work with so many different industries, and we get the cross-pollination of ideas. IT for me is all about learning and developing. Again, going back to the start, I've been in this business now for 30 years, but every day I get out of bed with a thrill of what we can do today and what we can achieve, and how we can help our customers move forward and deliver greater things for their customers as well. So I'll stop there.